Welcome back to part 3 of our growing guide series. In this video today we're going over all of the herbs that we're carrying at our nursery along with growing tips on every herb.
That's tomato. Let's see. That's lavender.
So without further ado, let's get right into the first herb. Culinary Elegance Purple Lavender. This one is, again, for culinary purposes, for eating. Don't forget you can use the leaves for the culinary purposes as well. So when you plant this plant, you won't need to wait for the blooms to be able to use them. We like to make a lavender lemonade. Just take some of the leaves, crush them, put them in with water and lemon, and we sweeten ours with stevia. But you can do whatever you like. It's beautiful. Lavender in the south does not like our clay soil. So if you do plant it in the ground, elevate it, even plant it in like a little bit of gravel mix, just fluff it up. You can add some pine bark fines. You can anything to fluff up and make the soil drain quickly. That's the main thing they don't like. They don't like wet feet. Or you can plant it in a raised bed or in a container, and they tend to do better that way. Ours do come back for us, but sometimes they're not the most reliable comebacker for us. I do know if you want more of a landscape plant, that is the lavender. I can't remember. Southern Living has a variety of lavender that's supposed to be really good in our area, even in the clay. I can't remember the variety, but if it comes to my brain, I'll put it on the screen. If not, oh well, that ship has sailed. Okay, so the next one is Genovese Heirloom Basil. This is your typical Genovese variety of basil. Won't say much about that. However, I'll give you some growing tips if you're wondering for all basils. Basils like they like a similar setting, and most herbs prefer similar types of growing conditions. There are some exceptions, of course, but basil does not like wet feet. So often if you see a disease in basil in the summer, the heirlooms will get disease, sometimes the spotting, the rotting. Sometimes they'll get that, and that's because they're getting some root rot or they're getting too wet. So they do well in containers. They also do well in raised beds. Full sun, just blast them with the heat. They love it. That's all basils. Rosemary is the next one. Rosemary for us in our zone is a perennial. So this one, when you plant it, it will be a perennial. You put them in the ground in the clay. You can mow them down. Easy to grow. The next one is stevia. Stevia loves the heat. Purposes or uses for stevia, you can use the leaves fresh, and you can actually pour hot water over them, make a tea, or make a mixture of tea, and they'll sweeten your tea. You can dehydrate them, freeze dry them if you have a freeze dryer, turn them into a powder and have your own stevia powder. And stevia loves the heat, does not require much fertility in the soil, well-draining soil. The next one is cilantro. Cilantro, a lot of people have told me they have issues growing, and that's probably because you're growing it in the heat. Cilantro, I grow it in the shade, and I grow it even in our winter here in South Carolina. We can grow it all winter long. In fact, I think we have some videos of harvesting it, and it's been winter. It can even have a frost on it. It won't be phased. This is one herb you can harvest. You can freeze it, and actually it will maintain, and it will stay nice and green as opposed to dehydrating it, because sometimes you dehydrate the herbs, and they taste of nothing. They taste like grass. But if you freeze it, it works great. Next one is Summertime, is the variety Thyme. It's more of a creeping habit, perennial for us, beautiful herb. Greek oregano, it does have smaller leaves. This one is a little more tedious, but they're potent. They are full. You don't need much. It is a ground cover. So be ready. If you are getting this plant, it will come back for you. It is a big of a thug in the garden. Similar to mint. I don't know if it's as vigorous as mint, but they can get there. So wherever you plant it, I would dedicate a container to it, or if you have even like smaller raised beds or something, just keep it contained somewhere so that it doesn't take over. Thyme will creep, but it's not as much of a diva as the oregano is. Teddy dill is the fluffy dill, beautiful dill. It is dill if you want to time it with your pickles. Dill is more of a cool weather herb. So by the time dill is ready, you might just want to harvest it. You can even freeze it. Have that already ready. By the time your cucumbers are done, you can go ahead and can if you want to can dill pickles or anything. But if you try to time them together, sometimes it can get a little tricky depending on your climate. I know probably in more northern climates where you have a shorter growing season, your growing season is probably a lot milder. But if you have warmer climates like we do here, trying to time dill and cucumbers at the same time, very tricky to do because dill just They like very different conditions. Okay, amethyst basil is the beautiful, I almost like it as a landscape plant. So if you are attracted and you like coleus, for example, or plum dandy by Proven Winners, I'm not sure if you're familiar with that one, but it has those beautiful purple leaves with kind of green undertones. This one's beautiful. It does have a slight more licoricey flavor than the other basils. I kind of like it in terms of the flavor, but I love it. It's robust, easy to grow, doesn't seem to get disease issues. I just like it because it's beautiful, and I like to mix it like purple, green in the garden. My favorite variety, which is the next one of basil, is bush basil. And this bush basil, while in the picture looks cute and little bubble of just basil, it's quite the beast of a plant. It does get to 2, sometimes even 3 feet wide. Loaded. It almost reminds me of a boxwood. If a boxwood were to have a baby with basil, like a tater tot one, like a really little boxwood, not the big ones. But tater tot is arborvitae, though. Anyway, I'm losing it. I haven't eaten since breakfast, I think, and I think I'm losing it. Anyway, I digress. So this, yes, it's a baby of a boxwood and a basil. I love it. I think it looks amazing in the garden. And the flavor is amazing as well. Now, I will say it's a little tedious to pick. The leaves are a lot smaller. So if you want to do pesto or whatever, you'll be picking all day long. But flavor's great. I love it. If it's just for sprinkling on salads. The next one is Giant of Italy parsley. Large leaves, dark green, amazing parsley flavor. With parsley, you can also grow it in the shade. Much like cilantro, I would treat parsley and cilantro in the same kind of cool weather herb family. Camera cut off somewhere, but the last 2 herbs that we have are Mrs. Burns lemon basil. So if basil was mixed with lemon zest, that's essentially what you get. This one is an amazing basil you can use for, sweeter drinks even. So you can even mix it with the stevia or steep it, make a tea out of it with the lemon basil. Often people ask us, hey, can you grow medicinals or can you grow any other things, medicinal herbs and blah, blah, blah. And to me, I'm like, yes, I understand what you're saying, but pretty much all herbs are, medicinal. Food is, let thy food be thy medicine, thy medicine be thy food, right? But long story short is herbs have very great medicinal properties, and they can also be used in teas. And often people don't think of basil in a tea, but you can mix that with stevia. You can just literally put it on top of a salad. The basil itself, all herbs, make a dressing out of it. It's excellent. And the last but not least is the common sage. Even though it is called common, it is not common. It is not that common. Well, it is. I'm just trying not to let it feel bad. It is a perennial for us in our zone, in our area. Sage is. It is perennial in zones 4 to 8. So for us, we're 8A. So it does perennialize for us. If you do put it in a place where it is a little more protected from the sun, it will perennialize. Is that a word, perennialize? I'm making it up maybe, but I'm making it a word. So if you do put it in a little bit more like against the building or in a slight like part sun area, it will perform pretty well and come back pretty well for you. But that is all that I got for you guys today. Check out part 2. Part 2 will be our Proven Winners annuals that we will be growing at the nursery, and then also the next video will be the Proven Winners perennials. And I thought I'll blend these videos into a growing guide, give you some tips on these plants, whether you're local or not, just to offer some fun growing tips on them. And if you are local, I didn't mention the website, but it is www.setapartfarmandgardens.com. And again, the pre-order sale is going until January 27th. And 10% off and then 15% off and free delivery. You can check out the website. It has all the details on that info. But yeah, if you're interested and you want to get some plants, pickup is at our location at Set Apart Health, which is our wellness center. I hope that helps, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.